Hey everyone, it's the Captain here. Just a quick video. Wanted to share some of the funnier passages in the most recent legal document that has come out in a certain case against a certain TV host. Or a certain TV host is brought against a couple YouTubers. Anyway, without further ado, here's the first passage that I found amusing. Yared owns, produces, and stars in a public access television show entitled The Gorgeous George Show, which airs in Richmond, Virginia, and is posted on YouTube's video sharing website. Yared also has a live radio program of the same name on WCLM AM 1450 in Richmond. The Gorgeous George Show is not exactly masterpiece theater, and features such fare as Yared imitating Mickey Mouse, telling a woman he will assist in delivering her child. Yared says that Brennan and Markland have harassed him many times in various ways, such as calling his live radio show and uttering profanities on the air. They also apparently post derogatory comments about Yared online. Essentially, they play juvenile pranks on Yared. Their mischief has offended Yared's sensibilities, elevating his blood pressure and giving him night sweats. Although it is not clear from the complaint, Yared, Brennan, and Markland are all apparently adults. So just judging from that passage I just read, it's pretty clear that the court thinks all of this is pretty ridiculous. And the allegations of harassment and such, that there's just not a whole lot of basis in reality there. And honestly, the court seems pretty goddamn amused by it, just like most of us are. And here's another part that I found particularly amusing. Yared does not point to a specific cause of action for harassment under federal or state law. In one of Yared's memoranda, he writes, "Virginia law does not recognize the tort of intentional infliction of emotional distress under the heading of elements of harassment. Accordingly, this court interprets Yared's claims of harassment against the defendants as claims of intentional infliction of emotional distress. Yared has failed to allege sufficient facts to state a plausible claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress, and the court dismisses this claim with prejudice." With prejudice. To recover on a claim of intentional infliction of emotional distress in Virginia, a plaintiff must prove 1. That the defendant's conduct toward the plaintiff was intentional or reckless. 2. That the conduct was outrageous or intolerable. 3. That a casual connection existed between the defendant's conduct and the plaintiff's emotional distress, and 4. That the plaintiff's resulting emotional distress was severe. Yared does not allege facts showing either the second or fourth elements of the tort. As to the second element, the harassment does not amount to the kind of outrageous or intolerable activity unacceptable in a civilized society. The Gorgeous George Show is, at best, a kind of low-level Wayne's World. It may have serious moments, but it is essentially a clumsy parody of television. It invites the kind of response one would expect from Beavis and Butthead. Precisely what Markland and Brennan have sent Yared's way. None of this is fine art, but in the 21st century it is not so outrageous or intolerable as to amount to a tort. I find this last passage very, very interesting because, in my mind, it kind of underscores something I've thought for a long time, and goes in line with the whole public figure idea that I view Gigi as someone that has a TV show for as long as he has. He has put himself out there, and just like anybody, if you look at big stars, not everybody likes every big star. There are people that have all sorts of internet pages that are negative about people like Tom Cruise or Will Smith or whoever. You know, that's one thing that you invite for yourself is criticism, or maybe even somewhat mean-spirited reactions. Not everybody's gonna like what you do, and honestly, the worse you are at what you are attempting to do, the more you're going to invite criticism and reactions such as that. And being a public figure, you have less expectation of privacy and protection against people that do these things. And this is kind of, in my mind, what the court is getting at. That George puts himself out there, and he's getting, in return, reaction. He doesn't like it, but basically, it's tough. You put yourself out there and you run that risk. Just as anybody that makes a video on YouTube runs that risk, that not everybody will like what you do. And that's the price of putting yourself out there. And honestly, to have the court sum it all up and say that it is a clumsy parody of television is maybe the funniest phrase I've heard this year. Clumsy parody of television. Just let that sink in. I don't know if anybody has said it better than that before. Lots of people have bandied about different explanations on how they view that show, and that may be the best one yet. And to think that it came from a court ruling. Wow. That's all I got for you. This is the Captain, signing off.